Sarah Gould-Waslohn, and welcome to my garage, which is currently my studio space for now. I'm in transition, so I'm on my rug, and I tried to make it as homey as possible. So today we're just going to do a little bit of meditation and some movement. So we're going to take it really easy. And I want to talk about meditation a little bit. It's kind of a scary word. All it means really in this context is building awareness. And when we are stressed and when life feels out of control, we can center ourselves by building awareness in our internal body. So checking in with our breath and checking in with the things that we can control, but also just noticing how we feel and acknowledging how we feel and slowing down sort of the mental chaos that can accumulate there. So just take a moment with me if you can. You can sit in a chair or sit on the floor or up on a cushion, wherever's comfortable. So find a comfortable seat. And palms can be down on your thighs or up, or you could have your palms in your lap. And let your shoulders be heavy. Lift through the crown of your head. So almost like your head is a helium-filled balloon floating up toward the ceiling. And your spine is the string that hangs from that balloon. So we're creating a little bit more space between the vertebrae, between those 24 vertebrae. Notice if your shoulders are rounded forward. See if you can squeeze the shoulder blades just a little bit to broaden your collarbones. Create a little more space here in the front of your chest. And if you're comfortable with it, close your eyes. And start to build awareness to your experience, your internal experience. Notice the cadence and rhythm of your breath. Notice the temperature of the air against your skin, the texture of the clothing, of your clothing against your skin. Notice if you're holding tension in some places that don't need to have tension. If so, try and relax that tension. And that's going to be an ongoing process to notice where you're holding tension and see if you can release that tension kind of by moving from the inside rather than by doing extraneous large movements. So just kind of softening into those places of tension and still kind of stretching the spine in opposition. So allowing your sits bones and your gluteals to be heavier or softer into the floor or into your chair. Just letting the bottom of the spine sink or melt down, and then lifting up through the top of your head, again, like your head is a helium-filled balloon, or as if there's a string attached to the top of your head, lifting your head up, lifting your spine up. And we can also think of that opposition laterally, so you can think of the ribs getting wider, the shoulders getting wider, the pelvis getting wider, almost stretching out in all directions. Rather than becoming small, let's get bigger, creating more space in your body. And begin to take just a few deeper breaths. Create a little more space in your rib cage, more space for your lungs to breathe into, more space for your lungs to live in. Stretching the small muscles between your ribs, the intercostals. And trying to breathe in that 360-degree cylinder all the way around. Or you could even think of it like a balloon expanding in all directions, up and down, side to side, forward and back, and every space in between. And focus on breathing out for longer than you breathe in. This engages our parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of the nervous system, which counteracts the stress and anxiety that we might be feeling. Maybe not now in this moment, but sometimes. And it can be helpful to take some long exhales. And I'll leave it up to you whether you want to breathe in and out of your nose or out of your mouth. I like to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Or you could do in through the nose, out through the nose. Or if you have a cold or just some stuffiness in your nose, you might breathe through your mouth. And notice the temperature of the air as it comes into your body, whether that's through your nostrils or through your mouth and your throat. And notice the temperature of the air as it leaves your body, again, either through the nostrils or through the mouth, the throat. And following that breath between your inhale and your exhale, so where does it come into your body? See if you can sense and feel it moving through the nose, down through the throat, into the lungs, and back out again. Letting go of tension more and more as you exhale, with each and every exhale. And as your mind wanders or runs away with you, use your breath as an anchor point, so something to focus your attention on, so that you can bring your mind back to something. Finding stillness in your body, stillness in your mind, that the two are connected. Like we're just sitting in that eye of the storm, that clear space, the chaos all around us, but we sit in that, we anchor in that clear, solid space. Again, noticing any tension in your body accumulating, perhaps in your hips, your neck, your head, your shoulders, your back. And again, stretch your body in all directions. Soften the tissues that feel tight. And stay with your breath for about 30 more seconds. Take a few deeper breaths. Feel free to open your eyes now if your eyes were closed. And bring your hands onto your thighs or your knees. And we'll shrug the shoulders up to your earlobes, up to your neck. Inhale. Exhale. Press the shoulders down. Lift up through the top of your head. Belly button to spine. Just a little engagement of the abdominals here. Inhale. Shoulders up. Higher than you think they can go, and exhale, press the shoulders down, feel the work at the base of your armpits and lift through the crown of your head. Let's take 2 more breaths like this. Inhale, shoulders rise. Exhale, press the shoulders down, lift through the top of your head. 1 more, inhale, shoulders up. And exhale, press the shoulders down. Take 1 hand down. If you're sitting in a chair, you can hold onto that armrest or slide your hand down the chair leg. We're going to just reach over and breathe into the side that's stretching, that's lengthening. Breathe into that side lung. And maybe just take some circles of this arm just to stretch some of the muscles around your shoulder. If this feels pinchy or uncomfortable, just make it much smaller. Don't do anything that feels bad in your shoulder here. Or you might just feel that the muscles are tight and that moving it feels good, in which case you could maybe go even bigger. And now push with your supporting arm and go to the other side. Same thing on the other side. Keep both sits bones or both sides of your pelvis anchored. Shoulders away from the neck if possible here. Breathing into the side of the ribs that you're stretching. Breathe into that side lung. And then maybe take some arm circles. You could really go either direction, but I like to reach back into this space behind. That space gets forgotten about because we don't see it. We forget it's there. And those muscles behind us get just a little weaker, and then they really complain. And come on up. And bring your hands onto your knees. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my spine a little bit more clearly. We're going to do some flexion extension. So we're in an unweighted position, of course, except for gravity. But otherwise this should be fairly safe for your spine. If you're worried, then take it much smaller. If you are in a chair, sit more forward in your seat so that there's a little space behind you. And we'll pull the ribs back, bow the head, scoop your abdominals in, and even tuck the tailbone underneath you. And when you feel complete with that, come back up. Draw the shoulders down and back. Lift the sternum forward, so we're actually moving the rib cage forward in space. And then aim your chest up at the ceiling as if you had a big eye on your chest, and that eye is trying to look upward. And then again, we'll scoop the belly back, pull your lower ribs back, bowing the head, trying to open up the lower back, mid and upper back, and a little bit through the neck, and extend other direction. So we pull the ribs forward and up, looking up with that eye on your chest. You can use the arms to pull your rib cage forward in space, shoulders back. Again, let's maybe breathe out as you round the spine. Just feel a little bit of engagement in the belly, in the abdominals. Inhale, pull the shoulders back, extend. Extending through the lower back, mid and upper back, and a little bit through the neck. Exhale, scoop and round. Pulling away from the knees, away from the hands. Inhale, pull yourself toward the legs. Lift your chest, shoulders back. Let's take two more. Exhale, scoop and round. Inhale, lift and extend. One more time. Exhale, scoop and round. Inhale, lift and extend. And release. And now let's put some of those movements together. So just kind of circling the rib cage over your pelvis. So if you were looking at your skeleton from above, you'd see your rib cage circling around your pelvis from that bird's eye view. Rolling around the sits bones, shifting the weight in your pelvis. Just getting some different movement in the spine. That's what we're after. Getting to some places that maybe don't always get movement. Reverse. There's not really a wrong answer here. Do what feels good in your body. And we'll come back to the center. Bring your elbows to touch in front of you. Bring the pinky sides of your hands together. And then pull or peel the hands apart. And bring them back together. Shoulders down as much as you're able. Keep those elbows connected. Pull the hands apart. And bring the hands back together. Just a few more. So you might be able to go more or further than I can go, or perhaps less. And if this is easy for you, then lift the elbows a little higher. This is a fairly extreme movement. Just getting into the starting position is hard. And then asking movement out of it is much more challenging. Ooh, one more. All right, and then bring your elbows into your waist, palms up. Squeeze the shoulder blades slightly so your shoulders are starting to move behind you. And we'll take that same movement, different context. Pull the hands back, thumbs back, and then forward. Rotating your upper arms out and back, inhale forward. Try and pull your lower ribs back, keep them there. As you rotate your upper arms within the shoulder sockets. So upper arms kind of stay close to your rib cage, stay glued to your rib cage. And we rotate. And let's just do a few more. This is also to counteract all that time on the computer, all of this stuff. The shoulders rolling forward, the arms coming forward to really open. And let's hold this one here. So hands are out and back, as if those thumbs could touch behind you, right? It's not, our muscles are too tight that that's not gonna happen. Shoulders down, belly button in, so pull those ribs back. And then see if you can turn your palms backward. And from there, maybe reach the fingertips out. So now your elbows do come away from your sides, and pull the elbows back into your waist. Keep facing the palms back as much as possible. Reach the fingers out. Notice I'm not straightening all the way. You want to keep a little bend, and then squeeze those elbows into your sides. And just a few more. So we're rotating the hands, forearms, and the upper arms, all in external rotation, or supination, we would call it, in the forearms. And one more for fun, out and in, and release the arms. Just roll your shoulders a few times, a little bit in each direction. Okay, and then if you are sitting on the floor, I have just a little bit of movement for your hips. If you're in a chair and not able to come down to the floor and safely get back up, then you might just stop the video here. If you are able to get on the floor and move the hips a little bit, I encourage you to. So hands back behind you, feet fairly wide, knees bent. So I like to have enough space between my feet that one of my shins could fit in that space. So that's sort of how I measure this space, which is actually exactly where we're going. So we're gonna take both knees to one side and see if you can get both knees to touch the floor. And then go to the other side, see if you can get both knees to touch the floor there. And you might notice one side is tighter than the other, or they might feel the same amount of tightness, or this might feel easy. So we've got a couple things going on here. We've got movement in the hip joints, so your femur, your thigh bone, is rotating internally and externally in the hip joints. But you'll notice your pelvis is probably having to move in order for you to get those knees down, which is creating a spinal twist. You could eliminate the spinal twist by keeping your pelvis still and simply moving the legs. This movement would be much smaller, right? It wouldn't be as exaggerated. Or you could exaggerate the spinal twist and really push with one side of your pelvis to get some more spinal twist, which might feel like a stretch for one shoulder. As we go to one side, we get internal rotation of one leg, external rotation of the other. As we go to the other side, we get internal rotation and external rotation. So it's one of each. Let's just do one more each side. And now I'm going to have you sit in a Z-sit, which is very similar to the position we were just in, but we're now on one side. So you're sitting on one hip, you've got a foot behind you, and I like to flex the feet. It's just better protection for your knee. And if you need to, if this is too much, you can have your hand on the floor, but I encourage you to try to be as upright as possible and have as much weight into that hip that's hard to put down, so that hip that's slightly lifted. And so from here, we're gonna try to keep the pelvis stable. I want you to lift that knee that's slightly more back, lift and lower. And if you see me looking around, it's because the llamas next door just got out of their pen and they're running around the yard, and it's hilarious, so I apologize. for my own disruption. One more. Okay, now this is harder, this is trickier. Try and keep your knee down, lift your foot up and lower it down. Lift, and you might have to lean forward to do that. If you do, or if you need to lean more to the side, whichever way you lean, stay there rather than going back and forth. See if you can isolate the movement to your hip, and you'll notice on me it's very small, teeny tiny, because we're in a lot of abduction of the leg already. Sorry, yeah, no, I said that right, abduction. And then we're asking rotation on top of it when our leg is almost at its maximum or completely at its maximum. So it's a big ask. And now see if we can lift that whole leg up. You may have to lean over, and let's hold the leg up and take it all the way forward in front of you, and see if you can use no hands to switch to the other side. Maybe so, or maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so try to sit up as much as possible. Let that hip drop low. Flex your feet. So we've got one foot slightly behind you. It's this leg that's slightly, more to the side or slightly back that we're gonna move. You're gonna open that knee up and lower it down. Open, so we have this little bit of external rotation. Do what you can to stabilize your pelvis. And if you do need to have your hand on the floor, that's absolutely fine. Or the further over you go, the more space you're gonna create for that hip joint. So you can go as far as you need to, but stay there. So you're not bobbing your torso. We're just moving the leg within the hip socket. Okay, now lower that knee down, keep the knee down, and see if you can lift that back foot up. Lift and lower the foot, keeping your knee down. And again, you might have to lean more forward or more to the side. Stay there, whichever direction you have to lean, stay in that lean as opposed to coming back each time. 3 more. Okay, now lift that whole leg up and take it forward to sit cross-legged, maybe with no hands. And that's it for our movement practice today. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.